Hey, what's up? We're Sleep on It. We're hanging out here with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations on the debut album.
Thank you. Thanks.
I had the pleasure of it dropping right when I was taking a trip to Portland this weekend.
Nice.
So that was actually my soundtrack to Portland
hell
for
yeah.
the entire trip. So obviously I love the record. Let's talk about going into the studio, getting this record created with Seth, and what that experience was like for you guys.
Recording with Seth is really great. I mean, we were kind of writing for this record really before we had the date set. We kind of just started writing once I joined the band, and we picked the first 5 for the EP, and then we just kind of kept writing because we immediately booked the studio time for the full length because we wanted to get it out as soon as possible. It took a little longer than we wanted. It took about a year between releasing the EP and releasing the record. But we're extremely happy with it. It was a natural process. We didn't feel rushed. We didn't feel forced. And yeah, Seth is the fucking man. That's really what it boils down to.
Seth makes you feel like really at home in his studio. It's it's actually like at his like parents' house where he like grew up, and it's just cozy there. We've done 3 recording sessions there now. Obviously, the album was 5 weeks of recording time, and we just like got to hang out with Seth and make music, and we didn't feel like an overwhelming amount. Well, this is Sleep On It. We always have a little bit of anxiety, but like not an overwhelmingly sense of anxiety that like we didn't feel pressured or like under the gun or like we had to finish the song. We didn't have enough time. We finished all the tracking with enough time to be able to like glance everything over, go song by song, be like, all right, do we want to add anything here? Of course, now that the record's out and a few 8-9 months have passed since we recorded, we're like, oh, we should have totally put that lead there. We should have put this harmony here. But that's always the way it is when the hindsight is always 20/20 with that sort of stuff. But Seth's the man. We love recording with him.
Tell me about like the tracks on there, because everything is pop punk, and then we have that little ballad with piano and acoustic, the brightest shade of blue.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind putting that track? And especially placing it right towards the end of the album. Like, was there an actual meaning behind all that?
Yeah, I think like track listing was something that we like really like thought about a lot, and we're very like deliberate with. We like our favorite records growing up, I feel like always had that sort of like ebb and flow to it. And a lot of our favorite records had like the designated acoustic track. So when we were writing, I asked Zach, I was like, do you want to do like an acoustic song? He was like, yeah, if it makes sense, if like the song works and it makes sense. So I kind of like wrote like the structure for Brighter Shade of Blue, and everyone really loved it. And like I took piano lessons when I was younger, so like piano is something that I always really liked playing. And I'm not like like super great at piano, but like just have like some like cool melody and stuff. Yeah. So that was something that also came naturally. I just had like a piano idea for it, and then Seth suggested his friend who plays cello to like do some like cello on the song, and we're like, yeah, cool. So he came in for a day, and it like totally just took the song to the next level with the strings and all of that. So
was this the first time that you guys did something like that with like a string section or like or a piano, for example? Like, and was it? You said it came kind of natural, but was there any challenge involved with that?
There was a little bit of challenge adding the strings. We do a lot of like post-production piano stuff. Like we'll add like organs and pianos under choruses and in the bridges just to kind of round out the arrangements. But we had never done anything with strings before, especially live strings. Like we messed around with the idea of just like just using MIDI and making that the string part. But Seth knew a guy and he brought it in, and that was honestly probably the hardest part of the recording process, because none of us know how to write music out into a staff. So it was kind of just
I remember I was like trying to tell the guy what notes to play, and like the way that we write, I just don't go by like notes or like like written out like music or whatever. So trying to tell him what to play, I felt like such an idiot. Like this guy's like classically trained like cellist, and I'm like C G
like this, like.
Have you ever listened to Yellow Card before? Make it sound like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that was a challenge. But yeah, that other than that, like even still, like Seth kind of stepped up to the plate on that one and took the lead. And without him, we probably wouldn't have the cello part on there, because how the fuck are we supposed to tell a cello player what to play? Like, just a bunch of dudes who taught themselves how to play the instruments they know, and we don't know musical notation at all. Like we have a basic idea of theory, but we're not. Yeah, I couldn't write out what he played to save my life.
Right.
Like so.
So then if you guys play that song live, you're just going to have that same guy that was on the record.
Yeah, we're just gonna whistle it.
Yeah, whistle it or hum it.
Yeah, dude, got it. We're good.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So as you guys are creating the record, this is not the first time you guys work with Seth, right? You guys have worked with him before. So what was different this time around? How did he challenge you guys this second time around in the studio?
Me and Seth have worked together for a really long time with previous bands that I had been in. So there's a comfort level there. He's very comfortable telling me if he likes something or if he doesn't like something. Yeah. And obviously now that we've recorded with Seth 3 times, well, twice, but at that point, going into it, it's just a very open-minded experience. We don't discount any idea. We don't write something off because it's not what we typically would do. Right. But with this record, it was all of our first full-length records. So it was a completely different mindset going in because instead of having 4 or 5 songs, I think we went in with 16 and we left with 12. Yeah. And it was really just Seth looking at us saying, we want to make the absolute best record possible. Hi, Austin. You can go get your stuff if you need to.
Cool. That's Austin.
That's Austin. He's from Water Parks. And it was really Seth just stepping up his production game. He really took himself to the next level. Derek DiScanio from State Champs also helped produce the record. So it was really having the 2 of them and then the 5 of us just really completely open, no shaming any idea, just kind of putting everything on the line to make the best 12-song record we could.
Yeah. For me, like the most difficult thing is kind of like letting go of how I write something and how I'm hearing it. And like I've always kind of had that problem, but we've gone to a point with Seth and with Derek where it's like I'm comfortable being like, okay, I'll drop, how I'm hearing this part and do it this like different way. And then it ends up like at the time it's strange because like I've always heard it a certain way in my head, but once you kind of like let go of like control over it and kind of like let them get their hands on it, it usually ends up being better ultimately.
Yeah, I mean it's a thing. A lot of bands have like demoitis. They'll demo out their song and they'll get set in their ways with it.
Is that sounds serious?
I think
yeah. Is that contagious?
It's definitely contagious.
Yeah. Jake wants it.
I want it.
But so yeah, we definitely had that because we wanted to go in as prepared as we could so that we weren't wasting any time. 5 weeks sounds like a lot of time, but we still went down to the very last day tracking stuff and adding things. But it's like I said, there's a comfortability there now with us where as much as we do demo and we do think we over prepare for studio time, the first day we kind of went in and Seth and Derek both kind of like we would play through the songs and immediately it'd be like, oh, well, let's do this lead instead or this. And at first, obviously, like no matter what, you're going to be like, man, I don't know. I really like this part. I really like this melody. But then obviously you have someone like Derek DiScanio who's been incredibly successful with what he's doing. Seth has been killing it. So it's kind of it takes that moment of realizing what's best for the song and best for the record and setting that apart from what you want to do. And it's definitely the hardest part of any recording process.
And going back to you with letting go on stuff that you write, what was that like your first experience co-writing with Will? Because that's another writer and, obviously like we know Will from, the bands that he's been in, but at the same time, it's still your work. You don't want to let go of that. So what was that experience like for you, like letting go in order to work with him?
Yeah. Well, that was actually like different because we kind of like went in with just like a very just like a riff. It was just a small idea. It wasn't really a song written yet. Yeah. So we all love Cartel, Will's band, and so we kind of went in and we were just like, we brought him a song that we had pretty much mostly written, and he was like, this is really good. I'm not really sure what to do with this. So instead, he was like, do you guys have something more just like a riff or just like something we can build upon? And then Zach had this riff for Always Crashing the Same Car, like the intro riff. And then we just sat down and just wrote out that whole song with Will. So that was cool. So that was like very like we built it from the foundation up. It wasn't like changing or anything. And we really like Will and like what he's done. So it just like worked really well. It was
definitely a weird thing because like the first day we were in Nashville for 3 days. We kind of just like played him some demos we had that were like done. Like, and we were just kind of hoping that like what kind of happens with Seth and Derek would happen where he's just like, oh, this part's sick, but like whatever. And it's a really humbling thing in a way, like for Will Pugh, one of our favorite songwriters, to kind of look at us and be like, yo, these songs are sick. You don't need my help. Like, whatever. And then, yeah, he literally just looked at us and he was like, tomorrow, let's just fucking start from scratch and write a song together. Like, I'm a songwriter. You guys are songwriters. Like, I'm not here to just tell you how to change your songs. I'm here to help you guys write a great song. So it's really cool because Derek says the same thing. Like, and we're all just kind of, every musician is their own worst critic. So to hear from people who have had success with writing music that we respect, to say like, no, you guys are good songwriters, but like, I'm just another opinion for you. Like, you don't need me to write great music. You guys write great music already. Like, it's always something that like we've held near and dear to our hearts.